How to implement applications for smart devices. Using GeneXus. Let's suppose that we need to develop a simplified application for a real estate agency. This real estate agency works with certain neighborhoods and areas in a city, and it offers houses and apartments for sale and for rent. It has real estate agents who sign both property sales and rental agreements with clients. To manage all this information, the real estate agency needs a computer system that records neighborhoods, properties, clients, agents and agreements, that is, all the entities it works with. To make it accessible from any browser and from any location with internet access, and with no infrastructure requirements, we can implement it in a cloud. The system will have a restricted area that can only be accessed by the real estate agency staff, known as back office or Backend, and is used to enter and work with information about neighborhoods, properties, agents, clients, and agreements. In addition, it'll have a public access area where visitors looking to buy or rent a property can view the list of available properties, filter the data they're interested in, and eventually coordinate a visit. This is known as front-end. Since there are almost no functional differences between the back-end and front-end implementation, we'll only focus on the back-end. It can have a web-based part implemented in Ruby, Java, or .NET to be used from a browser. In addition, to support the agent's mobile work, part of the application will be implemented for smart devices. The programming language will depend on the device used. If we want to develop this application and sell it to various real estate agencies, we can't create it for one device in particular. But does this mean we have to program it in the languages of each device? No, not if we do it with GeneXus. Just like when we wanted to develop a web application, we will program the application in GeneXus and it will build it in the language of one or more devices selected. How? The first thing to do is represent in GeneXus the entities of reality that will be used by the application: agents, clients, neighborhoods, and properties. How can we do this? We create a GeneXus transaction object for each entity, and in each object we define the information that will be recorded about each one of them, that is to say, their attributes. For which part of the back end? The web or smart devices? Both. Let's open GeneXus. We will show how to create the KB with the Ruby prototype and the property transaction. If you are already familiar with these topics, you can move on to the next video that explains how to prototype in the cloud. We'll create a knowledge base and call it Real Estate Agency. It will contain all the necessary knowledge to implement our backend. We have to choose the default generation platform. Let's choose the default selection, Ruby. Now we can start creating the transactions identified before. We will work with the properties transaction and we will focus on it for a while. The other transactions are very similar. So we create the new GeneXus object, the property transaction. We'll create its identifier attribute and define a domain called ID, which will be applied to all the other identifiers. Let's take a look at it among the predefined domains. We can set it to be an auto-numbered domain so that all the attributes based on this domain are automatically numbered. Next, we enter the attribute that will represent the property name. It is of character type, so we can create a domain called name in order to reuse it in other attributes that also store names. Next, we'll record the date when the property was entered into the system. It is of date data type. Next, we add the property address attribute. As we can see, it automatically takes the predefined domain, which is address. Now we need an attribute to record a photo of the front of the property. It will be of image data type. Lastly, we need an attribute to record the type of operation, which can be sale or rent. It will be an enumerated domain, with two possible values: sale and rent. We could go on adding the other attributes required by reality. However, this is enough for this demo. We can also add some business rules to this transaction, and assign today's date as the default value for the date on which the property is entered into the system. An error in case the address field is empty. And a message to inform the user that the property name field has been left empty. And save. Below we can see the default web interface automatically created by GeneXus for this transaction. So far, we've only told GeneXus that at some point we will ask it to generate the web application in Ruby. Therefore, after creating the transactions, GeneXus will have to implement them in this platform. To do so, we still have to complete the environment settings. For example, specify a location for the database and a name for it, among other things. We could store the programs in database locally, or in the cloud. We will do the latter just by changing a property value. This will be the topic of the next video.